Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadaita Gadadha Sivasadi Bhaktavinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadaita Gadadha Sivasadi Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare 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 Rama
Hare Rama
Hare Rama 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 Hare
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 Hare Krishna
Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
तो क्या हुआ आपसे
Hare
यहाँ से नहीं लेना
Rama
मैं डाउन नहीं यार मेरे से मत चलो
Rama Rama Rama
मेरे पास है नहीं
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaur Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Gaur Pramanande Jai Vishnu Padma Sri Prachigachar Joshtatara Srila Bhai Charnar Bindu Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai
Jai.
ISKCON BVT founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Jyoshtatara Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Binda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Das Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Binda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navati Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Alachane Ramanati Dham Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavat Gita Patkari Sutakari Bhakta Binda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Brahmanande Hari Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraya. Nastaprai Bhadresu Nitam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Mukam karati vachalam pangurlangayati girim jatkripatamaham bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishadam. Hare Krishna, Somen Prabhu. I thought I saw also Prahladananda Prabhu from Las Vegas.
Haribol, Haribol,
Hare Krishna. Nice
Hare
to see you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Haribol, Haribol.
Hare Krishna. So this is a little awkward time, but that's the only time I got because I have another class at 7.
Okay.
College, sannyas college. It's not for everybody. Unless you want to take sannyas, you can apply. So today we are finishing chapter 6. And last week when we ended, we had a little discussion. How does the journey from ignorance to knowledge begins? And we ended with that, I think, if I recall, last Wednesday. Every Wednesday we do this. So we discuss, even to begin knowledge, you have to have some prerequisite knowledge. Just like Prabhupada said, to receive faith from sadhu or devotee, you have to have some desire with that faith to receive faith or to grow in faith. In other words, we have to have a desire for self-realization in order to go to a devotee, get his association to get self-realized. Similarly, if someone wants to mine gold, they need to know quite a few things before the gold, before they mine the gold. How gold looks like, why gold mining is worthy, and where to mine it. Otherwise, they won't search at all and will mistake something else to be gold. Everything glitters is not gold in America, they say. I mean, all over the world, they say. Everything glitters is not gold. So similarly, if we won't What applies to physical things such as gold applies even more to subtler things such as knowledge. Suppose someone wants to learn to treat blindness, as we mentioned last week. First of all, they have to inquire whether it is possible at all and who can do it. Just having the idea and start doing it is not going to work. So if knowledge starts not from zero, but from a greater than zero beginning, what brings anyone to that greater than zero starting point? That's the question. Society in general or social events in particular, as when gold rush mania grips a community. I remember in California, this professor was telling me gold rush, early days, 100 years, 200 years back. So when social causes cannot explain adequately, when someone exhibits a strong spiritual urge, despite being in a largely non-spiritual social settings, beyond social causes lies a historical cause. So Bhagavad Gita, we finished, I think, 44. We're going to start 45 today. 44 states that people who have been spiritual seekers in their previous lives gravitate spontaneously toward non-material exploration in this life. Just like some of us in our own community, we'll see somebody is progressing very rigid, very fast. And somebody is like barely trying to even practice. So much doubt, so difficult. So two ways we can look at it. One is that good association developed a grid. Another point also, that devotee must be already practiced last lives, strong devotional impression in the consciousness causing this. From childhood, even they are like very interested in spiritual life. There's a one new couple, their baby, just a little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old. She's like goes in front of the deity, start dancing, goes in front of Prabhupada, pays obeisances. And then you can see within our temple, I see some other children comes, they barely wants to even offer a flower or bow down. Their parents has to like force them, come on, bow down, pay obeisances. Same thing like how this is, because it is pre-impression. Pre-impression is there. We are carrying. This spiritual journey is a many lives combination. It's not just one life. I mean, possible for some people just begin this life. That's true. And for many people. Like when Bhagavat Maharaj was telling Prabhupada that I had a dream of Bhaktivinoda Thakur as if I was there. So Prabhupada says it's possible, but don't waste your time anymore. Try to get out in this life. So it's very striking to me when he told me that we have to be serious. Otherwise, we'll just keep on recycling in one sense. Not exactly, but we are progressing. It's interesting that one of the Maya's challenges also, she doesn't like you to regret that you are not advancing. She doesn't like you to repent, I'm not advancing. Because if you regret and repent, you will progress very quick. And Maya Devi doesn't like it because you are getting out of her grip, literally. Not that she doesn't like it, she just wants to make sure that you are genuine candidate to cross her boundary. So conclusion is that knowledge starts from a non-zero beginning. We find ourselves at that point, not just because of some social or historical cause, but primarily because we all have spiritual core rich with cognitive potential. So with that note, let us begin text 45. Anyone has a book? We are reading chapter 6, text 45. If you would like to read, you can. Anybody would like to volunteer?
Yes, Prabhu. Can you hear, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, you are audible.
Okay. I got it from internet. So
Okay.
this is chapter 6, Sankhya
Text
Yoga,
45.
text 45. So prayatnat yata manastu yogi samsuddha kilvisa aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. Synonyms: prayatnat, by rigid practice; yatamana, one who...
Prajatna, I think it's Bengali also. You say Jatna, no?
Oh,
Jatna means
prajatnat. Okay. Prajatnat.
Prajatna.
Yeah, by rigid practice. Jatamna, one who endeavors to, but yogi, such a transcendentalist, samsuddha, washed up, kilvisa, all kinds of sing, aneka, many, janma, births, samsiddha, so achieved perfection, tata, thereafter, yati, attains, param, highest, gatim, destination. Translation: but when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed off all contaminations, then ultimately, after many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Purport: a person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic, or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed of all contaminations. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Yasam tat
Yasam tu antagatam papam jananam punna karmanam tedanda mohanir mukta bhajante mam triraprata.
After many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed from all contaminations and from all illusory dualities, one then becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Very nice. Thank you. So let's see this verse one more time with the word to word. Prajatna, even in Bengali say the same thing, or in Sanskrit. Rigid practice. Jatat manos tu. One is endeavoring rigidly for a long time. Jatat manastu. Yogi samsuddha kilvisha. Yogi becomes free from kilvisha. Here could be sin, could be contamination from impurities, you can say. Aneka janma samsiddhi. Aneka means many, janma means birth, samsiddhi means complete purification or determination. So it may take several lifetimes. Yogi's determination is such that, so determination should go on for several lifetimes. Now, some of you may think like, oh my God, I thought end of this life we'll go back home, back to God. It may take few life. It depends on you. But how do you know this is not your last life? You already passed many lives. How do you know it is not? That's why this is a little mystery. So it may take several lifetimes. Yogi's determination is such that the determination should go on for several lifetimes. Now, normal, casual, religious man thinks that religion is a part of life, but serious practitioner, Hare Krishna devotees, what they understand, the life is part of my religion, which means my religious practice may go on from lifetime after lifetime. Not that bhakti is a part of life, but life is part of bhakti. Aneka janma samsiddhi. If you look at that word to word deeply thinking, that's what it means. It may take lifetime, then finally, tato jati param gati, then one will attain perfection. Now, what is that perfection? What will be described later in this soon, maybe next week, we'll discuss that. So Sri Krishna has mentioned briefly earlier in terms of mad sangstam mad te gacchati, previous verse, that coming and being next to me, but it will be gradually described. The important point here that Aneka Janma Samsiddhi, it may take many lives, so it is sobering, isn't it? Because one understands it is serious practice, which if one get deviated, it may take many lifetime to attain eternal position. And illuminating because one understands that actually one is never lost. Jara Bharat, you may think he fell down apparently, but he did not forget Krishna in the dear body. Rather, dear body actually helped him. How? Intensity. Sometimes human body, we don't give value of human body. Human body is so rare. You can literally practice bhakti, but in a dear body, he could not do. So when one practices spiritual life, even one is temporarily lost, one find a way again, and spiritual advancement will never be lost. It will stay with us, and we will regain it and claim it as soon as we are born in a new body. And some circumstances is created through which our past spiritual inclination are activated again. Conclusion to this section. So in this way, the practitioner, we should understand that it is supreme fortune to be able to make spiritual advancement and return back to Sri Krishna. No matter how many lifetimes it takes. I'm sure some of you probably thinking when Mahaprabhu was distributing Krishna Prem to others and he said, Mukunda, he is not going to get because he was intermingling with Mayavad philosophy. He supports Mayavad philosophy. You'll be surprised sometimes some devotee has wrong understanding also, like Mayavadis. So Mahaprabhu says it will take 10 million life. Anybody here are excited if Krishna tells you after 10 million life you will come back home? Why not? How many billion life is passed, we don't know. So at least 10 million, God says, that means there is a fix. At least there is a guarantee. So when Mukunda Datta went so blastically joyful that after 10 million life, he's going to get it, and he was dancing about it, then Mahaprabhu immediately called him. He said, he can have Krishna Prem darshan of Mahaprabhu now. So then question raised, they asked Mahaprabhu, how come you said 10 million, now you just gave him darshan? Anybody remembers that pastimes? What caused 10 million life become one life?
Yeah, because Mahaprabhu was so appreciative of the fact that Mukunda has so much faith in devotional service that for him, any amount of lifetime was worth getting his getting to be able to serve Mahaprabhu.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Mother. That's very good. So when we actually appreciate Krishna consciousness and we really feel grateful to Prabhupada, then our maybe 10 life becomes one life. Our 100 life can become one life. Intensity, purity, how pure the desire. I may want to go to spiritual world, but I also may want to enjoy this world a little bit. So Krishna is not going to give it next life. Said you want to enjoy also, okay, stay a few more lifetimes, see how much you like. So ultimately, it's not like end of this life we'll go back home. It depends on each of us, how desperate we really want to go back home. Going back home, back to Godhead, doesn't mean it's a entering into another different level of location. It means entering into different level of consciousness, which means also another level of reality. Which, why I'm bringing that, because in this life right now, you can actually enter into that level of consciousness through your intensity and purity. Two things, intensity and purity. So it's important. So the jubilant that Mukunda Datta, that after 10 million, was so jubilant, after only 10 million lifetime, he will be able to see Lord Chaitanya. So what did he do? He rigidly practiced. He started dancing and singing so nicely for Krishna, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. He was so excited, so optimistic, that attitude, that only after 10 million lifetime he will have, Lord Chaitanya will bring him here. Mahaprabhu already gave his mercy now. It will manifest after 10 million. He's looking at different angle and he's chanting and thinking about it. So when one have a determination, no matter how much price it takes, it is not too much for attending Sri Krishna. Anything and everything is worth. Because that attainment is so glorious, so wonderful, so fulfilling. Nothing is like that. It will be forever with us. So whatever the price, it is worthy. When you come to that conclusion, when one has the right attitude, one makes rapid spiritual advancement. One does not have to take aneka janma samsiddhis. This is a nice sentence, Krishna used that. Especially by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, it is possible attain in one life, return back to Sri Krishna. I give you a little scary story, and then scary stories are good. One brahmachari in the ashram in India, he was very rigidly trying to progress. And at one point, he had a little pride that he would chant Gayatri on time. He does everything on time, very pakka. Pakka means like a very rigid following. So one day, noon time, he forgot to chant Gayatri because he fell asleep. He was taking a little nap. So somebody woke up. Somebody knocked the door and woke him up. He said, "Oh, thank you." He said, "You forgot to chant your Gayatri." He said, "Oh, so much, so much. I really appreciate that you have helped me with that. By the way, I never saw you. How did you know I didn't chant? Where do you live?" He said, "I'm Kali, the king of the time." So then this brahmachari asked, "Kali? I thought Kali is a representative of Maya Devi. You are against the bhakti. How come you are helping me to progress, to do it on time?" He said, "Because I know if you don't chant on time, then you will regret and repent and you will cry to the Lord that I'm so fallen. And every time you do, you progress 1,000 times faster. So I don't want you to progress that fast because then you are out of my hand completely. And then Brahmachari got so scared. He said, wow. Now, of course, he woke up on time, so he could not regret or repent. But he did. He actually prayed to the Lord. He said, what a strange personality I met that wants to keep me pride in my practice. So mothers and Prabhus, be careful with the pride also in the practice. Oh, I am so good. I get up on time, I chant on time, I do everything. That's good for pleasing Krishna. That doesn't mean like we should not do it. But the false pride can keep us a little down, not to allow progress. So text 46. Anybody else would like to read? I see Mother Janaki is here. You generally try to read also. Mother Neha. Anybody would like to read? Chapter 6, text 46.
I can read.
Okay, Mother Gaurangi, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just turning to. Okay, let's see. Do this. Tapas vibhyo dhiko yogi gyani bhyo pi mato dhika karmi bhyashchadhiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Tapasvibhya, than the ascetics, adhika, greater, yogi, the yogi, gyani bhya, than the wise, api, also, mataha, considered, adhika, greater, karmi bhya, than the fruitive workers, cha, also, adhika, greater, yogi, the yogi, tasmat, therefore, yogi, a transcendentalist, bhava, just become, Arjuna, O Arjuna. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Purport. When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness, is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. And fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga. And this is still more clearly explained in the next verse.
Very good. Thank you, Mother. Tasha bhivo dhiko yogi, gyani bhopi mato dhika karmi bhas cha adhiko yogi tasma yogi bhavarjuna. So tapasvi is a person. Here tapasvi, very interestingly Krishna used tapasvi. Tapasvi is a person who performed voluntary taking some pain. Like it's winter, getting up to chant instead of sleeping in a cozy bed. Physically feeling tired, but no, get up on time to chant. These are all tapasvi. We do that. We are not tapasvi, we are bhakta, but still we perform those. So tapasvi person means who perform austerities. So better than the person who perform austerities is the person who does yoga adhika yogi. The way Krishna put it, yoga adhika yogi, better than the person who is jnani, jnani bhapi mata adhika. Greater than the person who is jnani is the person who is yogi, and greater than the person who is karmi is yogi. Karmi bhascha adhika yogi. Therefore, Arjuna, you should be a yogi, tasmat yogi bhavarjuna. Krishna concluding that some way, whichever road you go, come to this point, become a yogi. So previously we read that text 1. Yogi means a question like, as a devotee, are we sannyasi or yogi? Or none? We are both. Yogi, in a sense, they are always connected with Supreme Krishna. And sannyasi means they are detached from the material enjoyment. So in that sense, we are both sannyasi and yogi. Whether it's a Mataji or Grihastha or sannyasi, doesn't matter. It's the same thing applicable. In the Purport, Prabhupada writes, as Mother read, he emphasized this point very clearly. When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness. This is the first sentence Prabhupada put. Linking our consciousness. So linking our consciousness with who? With the Supreme Absolute Truth. Now, this is possible by various processes. Here, Srila Prabhupada is talking about what are the problems with the other process versus bhakti. So it's very nice, complete purport. Actually, every purport Prabhupada put like complete. Now, asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect, which means one is doing austerity, but one is not connecting one's inner reality. You ever wonder, like you see sometime in India, I saw, in Kumbh Mela, they go Haridwar or Prayag, they stay up whole night, they do so hard struggle to spend 3 nights in holy places and do austere. But when you come very close proximity, you inquire, it seems like their purification is not taking place. One is not connecting supreme reality, which is Krishna. Self-knowledge refers just not the knowledge of soul or Atma, but it's also refers Atma as a part of the supreme. Because soul is never separated from Krishna. It's eternally dependent on Krishna, whether directly under Yogamaya or Mahamaya. But it has no third location. I don't want to take under Yogamaya or Mahamaya. No, there is no other location. There's only 2 choices, internal or external. Even when we say that they are from third position, in a sense, marginal, but marginal is not actually a location, is not a demarcation by its own right. Just like a bank is always touching the water or the land. It's not like a bank, it's by its own. without water and the land. No, it does not have its own demarcation by its own right. It has a demarcation in that sense, but it's connected either spiritual or material. So similarly, we see Maharaj King Kulashekar. He says in Mukundamala Stotram, without remembrance of Sri Krishna, fasting is simply an exercise of the fat removal. You know, fat removal in America, they do this, losing weight. I met actually this lady, Jenny Craig. Oh, that's about 28 years back in San Diego. She used to live in Santa Fe. I don't know if she's still alive or dead. She came to this jewelry store. I met her, and I remember we had a talk. It was very interesting. So, losing fat you can do by fasting. Like tomorrow is Ekadashi. But we have to know the purpose of. Prabhupada is so kind. He writes in the Nectar of Devotion, the purpose of Ekadashi is to remember Krishna and chant, not just fasting. That's not the purpose of the fasting only. To remember Govinda's, Prabhupada said, more. That is the purpose of fasting. It gives you less pressure of the bodily need. When somebody does fasting, yes, eventually he or she will come close to spiritual advancement, but it may take a long time if they are not aware what is the purpose behind. Purpose should drive our life always. There should be a spiritual purpose. In a yoga retreat, I see there are doctors who does also fast retreat. This is, you can say, derivative of nature therapy. The idea is body having a healing capacity itself. If we just allow the body, it will heal the damaging. What do you call in medical world? They call placebo. That word is there. So also the doctors are aware of that. So you can say body can heal even when we have a damaging in the body, or body eat new food, body energy is getting diverted to digestive food. But if a person fasts in a doctor's supervision, then the body's energy is no longer caught in digestive new food. But the body energy is available for healing itself and cleaning itself, repairing itself basically. One Ayurvedic doctor told me very clearly in the land. The point is that it may be popular with some people, it may work. Also on physical level, there are incidents where people have disease which are incurable by normal means, which are cured by fasting for substantial amount of time. One friend of mine, Krill Hintermister, he told me that one guy has some chronicle, some worm, hookworm or something. I don't know exactly what it is. It's very deadly. So he went to Jesus Christ in Bethlehem and he said to do fasting. I remember that he did fasting, I think about 48 days or 42 days, something like that. Then the worm came out from his body and he got cured. So yes, fasting can help. We are not denying, we are not discouraging people not to do fasting. Fasting for substantial amount of time. So people may fast for health reason, that has got nothing to do with spiritual realization. Similarly, people may just fast to negate derives of the body just to prove that, yes, I can control myself. Of course, the most popular reason for fasting is to reduce weight. Our society is society where obese people in America, I'm sure you all are aware of it. People who are fat are people who are untouchable, unseenable. People who are fat, they are looked in a way which is quite mortifying. Actually, people are caught in catch-22 situation. On one side, we have so many advertisements which are glamorizing, maybe you can say proposing, tempting, eat this, eat that. Most of the food are tempting, fat inducing like fast food. So people may fast to get rid of fat, which is not at all spiritual. So Srila Prabhupada says, asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Such a nice word that Prabhupada used. Is imperfect. Yes, the capacity to do asceticism is useful on the spiritual path. Srila Prabhupada recommended us to do tapasya on Ekadashi. Tomorrow is Ekadashi, Prabhus and mothers. On holidays, we do. Fasting as a tool for health can also adapted by devotees, just as yoga is used as a tool for health by devotees. But the important is devotees are not caught in that alone. They do it for spiritual purpose. Ambarish Maharaj was fasting, Durvasa also was fasting. But the purpose of each one was different. Because Ambarish Maharaj was fasting as a respecting to Bhakti Devi, he was protected. So we understand the fasting or yoga is not our primary goal. It is Krishna consciousness. And we wanted to make spiritual advancement and return to Krishna. Along the way, whatever is required to keep our body healthy, we may do that. So Srila Prabhupada makes the next point, I notice in the purport, I'm looking at it. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. How beautiful sentence those are. Now, what is empiric knowledge? Empiric knowledge for Gyanibhi. Generally, Gyan leads to the conception that I am He or I am God. Aham Brahmasmi. Conception of Brahma may be different among different people, but quite often conception is that it is I who is absolute truth. So then that is definitely not correct. That is imperfect. So Srila Prabhupada is mildly critical of this, not saying it is useless. It is waste of time, Prabhupada says. He didn't criticize, but he didn't encourage either. It is a waste of time. It is imperfect. He has used strong critique in that. And fruitive work, one more also point Prabhupada made. Fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Shrama. Srama eva hi kevalam, Bhagavatam says. Srama hi, labor. Kevalam means only. Srama. Generally, we do labor for some fruits. But if there is only labor, no fruit, then it is useless. So Srila Prabhupada translates Srama eva hi kevalam, waste of time. Fruitive activities. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga. Such a nice purport. I mean, every purport is like this. This is still more clearly explained if we go to the next verse very nicely. Now, after describing this, giving this as a path of yoga, there are different yogis. Some may be impersonalist, some personalist. So different yogis may have a different conception. So is Krishna given a blanket endorsement for yoga in general? No. He recommends yoga, but what he is implying by yoga, to understand that we have to look at next verse. There are many yoga teachers who wanted to endorse the Bhagavad Gita recommends yoga. They only quote 6.46. They don't quote 6.47. It's interesting. Right. I personally met in Miami this yoga teacher. 6.46 says yoga is the best path. Why? Krishna says better than tapasvi is yogi, better than jnani is yogi, better than karmi is yogi. So yoga is the best path. To all should follow yoga. Actually, Sri Krishna says what kind of yogi one should be then. If you refer to next verse, Sri Krishna is referring to bhakti yogi. This is what Krishna's conclusion. So this is an example of quoting out of context. Sri Krishna is definitely referring to yoga, but if we look at what he is recommending in the context, then we come to know he is not recommending yoga as a sadhan yoga in Ashtanga yoga. He is using yoga as a method of connection. And the connection should be with personal absolute truth, which will be clear in the next verse, 647. And this verse is often quoted by Srila Prabhupada. Many lectures I remember hearing Prabhupada quoting this, especially whenever Srila Prabhupada was asked question about yoga, then Srila Prabhupada will quote this verse to underline the point that yoga should culminate in bhakti, in Bhagavan. So we'll begin with 47. Mother Gaurangi, you have raised hand. You have something to add?
Yeah, no, not to add. I'm wondering if there's time for me to get clarification here.
Okay.
Yeah, when Prabhupada uses this term in this purport, karma yoga, right? He seems to be equating that with fruitive activity. But, and he says fruit, at the end he says fruitive activities is a waste of time. But that sounds like he's talking about karma kanda, not karma yoga.
Oh, you are very analytical. Very good. Very good. You got a very good point. Now, karma kanda is literally deals with the sense enjoyment, but taking shelter of worshipping demigods and some process. But the purpose of karma kanda to come to karma yoga, that part is lost by the many brahmanas, many executors. So that's why we don't see exactly the people exactly follow. Because karma kanda is supposed to lead with karma yoga, and karma yoga is supposed to lead with jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is supposed to lead with ashtanga yoga, then leads to bhakti yoga. There's a stepping. But some or other, it's lost. That's why Prabhupada hint that when we say in Hare Krishna temples or community, most of the devotee actually do karma yoga. They don't do pure bhakti yoga in that sense. Karma yoga in the sense that they have psychophysical nature. They want to purify it. Purify means the impression is going down and down. It has to come to a nil. That they are not anymore obsessed or hankering for sense enjoyment. Karma yoga doesn't mean we keep on enjoying the senses and also practicing bhakti side by side. That's not what karma yoga purpose. Karma yoga purpose means karmanne jagartat karmana annatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Tadartham karma kunteya mukta sangha samacha. Mukta sangha. Ultimately, they have to come to free. Mukta means free. If they don't come to that level, then karma yoga is not really performed properly. But still, power of bhakti is so powerful, association of devotee. Even if somebody just stays in karma yoga and encouraged to associate with those exemplary Vaishnavas in our society. The Vaishnava who actually has a very interesting 3 points, you can say, serious Vaishnavas has that are very attractive. They do 2 things. They do sadhana and sadachar. These two combination is very attractive. Like they focused on morning program. They know the value of their sadhana. They get a spiritual strength. And when we do this, we become an ideal example of to the newcomers. And sadachar means the transformation of consciousness. It establishes such a way that we bow down to our senior automatically. We feel always to stay at the lotus feet of Prabhupada. Nobody is telling us, we feel like that. And we always respect and glorify the great acharyas. And that attracts the newcomers. Because newcomers respect us, we respect the previous acharyas, Prabhupada like this. And because at that time we have three things, or those preachers, they have three things. One is, they have a knowledge, not acquired only, but by hearing from the great realized soul. Like we are reading Prabhupada's book, we are hearing from Prabhupada. It's a very pure. And another point is conviction. Conviction, like whatever we hear, we apply this in our life. So it purifies our heart and we serve. And this service and purified heart, it's what called realized, or you can say digested knowledge. Understanding how to apply in day-to-day life. And then that gives us automatically a compassion state, tenderness towards other living being. Naturally arise. It's not artificial. You know, one question you can ask, is Prabhupada trying to be merciful to the conditioned soul, or bhakti causing Prabhupada to be merciful? Both. Because that's the nature of bhakti. Bhakti produces four things. One thing is danya, daya. Daya means tenderness towards other living entity. He sees their suffering. Just like a child, I say example because I saw that. A child is crying for his mother. Now, nobody knew where the mother is. Mother went to the bathroom, but without telling anybody. She had some emergency or something. And the child is crying, but one person knew, but not telling the baby where the mother is. So it became a little issue later on. So then we say, why somebody would not tell if somebody is suffering for some reason and he knows where they can go and get relief and he doesn't want? Why? Envy. Some envy. This is the sign of envious, of conditioned soul. Preaching means non-envious. The Bhagavatam, it says this, Nirmat Saranam Satam. Who released the Bhagavatam, who released Bhagavad Gita? Those who are non-envious. In my understanding, the word in Sanskrit is called Matsarata. Sometimes you can taste the word Sanskrit like a candy for a child. It's really tasty. It's like a candy, tastier than candy. Matsarata. So I was asking this aqua specialist, he sells, you know, these big cases of this fish aquarium all in the different houses. So he taught me something very interesting. He says in the aquatic world, no big fish is ever peaceful seeing the small fish not eaten by them. I said, what? How you come up with that? He said, because they think this small fish will grow big and then they will eat me. I better eat him now before he grows big. So the sages, they call this Matsarata. Matsa in Sanskrit it means fish. We say envy, but actually Matsa means fish, like a Matsavata. Matsya avatar. Matsya, in Bengali, I think they call mach or something. Matsya means fish. So fishiness, this is my English. Fishiness is dangerous, means fishiness means I cannot tolerate somebody is advancing more than me in the community. Means I am envious. This is deadly danger. Anyway, so compassion is the opposite. Who doesn't have a fishiness is a compassionate. So these three things, when you have knowledge, conviction, and compassion, then naturally you become very effective to any junior devotees. This is what we call bhakti shakti in Rupa Goswami terminology. Bhakti shakti. So karma yoga, ultimately, yes, you are right. It could be translated in that way also. But I think Prabhupada is very nicely is trying to pull out people, say, don't only stay in karma yoga. Purpose of karma yoga come to bhakti yoga. But if you don't come to bhakti yoga, you just stay in karma yoga. I mean, this is I hope nobody does, but I heard rumors that they think once you can practice, you can also go on the sense enjoyment. But that's not the purpose of the karma yoga. Karma yoga means to get out of mukta sangha samachara. You have to come to that liberated stage, Brahmabhuta platform, where you are happy in Brahman connection. I mean, can't we agree 100% that we have some satisfaction is there with all of us? Yes. Can we stay in that satisfaction? Yes. And we can grow further. Brahmabhuta prasannatma. Atma has to be prasanna. Atma, the soul has to be satisfied. Satisfaction doesn't come from ignorance. Satisfaction comes from, yes, if I intermingle with this thought, I'll go down and I'll suffer. I don't want to think anymore. Stop right there. If I have that emotional feeling, if I have that desire, whatever it is, where it's going to take me, I better stop it. It's going to take me away from this Brahmabhuta platform, then I stop. So this restraining is also nishtha. Nishtha doesn't mean only you are fixed. Fixed how? Through intelligence. You are remaining. Just like even Prabhupada, of course, is a Mahabhagavat, but still Prabhupada gave that example. When Prabhupada was asked, there's so many beautiful girls in the movement, you don't have any attraction. Prabhupada said, yes, I have attraction, I have emotion, it's natural, I have a human body. And then how come you don't act? Prabhupada said, my intelligence stop, intelligence blocks. It doesn't go further. So we can apply that. It is real. We all can apply. So Bhakti Yoga is the purpose of Karma Yoga. We are already 6:30. The next verse is so important. Maybe we do it next week because it's a beautiful verse.
But can I also ask about the tapasvi, which is, I guess, the ascetic? They don't have knowledge of their relationship with Krishna. So what is their objective in performing austerities?
Mostly to get some power. Mostly to get some power. It's very interesting you asked that question because there was a great tapasvi in Hardwar many years back. I heard the story that he was so austere. He would sit under the tree and would meditate. And they have no idea what is meditating on, something. But he was not disturbed by lust, greed, anger. He would just meditate for 8 hours, 10 hours. Then he would go back to his ashram and sleep and take rest. And he would meditate. One time, one bird was sitting in the tree somewhere. He passed stool on his forehead, somewhere right here around. And he opened his eyes and he got so angry. So other people were watching. And literally, he got so angry with the bird, and they were shocked that bird actually fell dead. So he got some power. But what is the value of that power? He killed a bird. That's all. That's it. You meditate for months after months just to get the power to kill a bird. It's very depressing. You know, when I heard that story, I was like, wow, what is the value of that? Now, of course, he got respect by the villager. Wow, he has a power. He can kill the bird just by being angry. What to me, it's like useless. You know, hunter kills the bird every day. So many. I mean, I don't know. Hunter. Yeah, in America, hunter kills also deers and others.
But I thought that it was only like Ashtanga yogis who are pursuing mystic cities who get power.
No, that's difference. Because they actually, you know, we have 9 gates in our body where the life air can exit. And what are you talking about, Ashtanga yogi? Their yogis, their purpose is to raise the consciousness. Because when we say raise the consciousness, means the life air, prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. The prana is the only air that carries the life force, the soul, unit of consciousness. There is a demarcation. And prana is the demarcation until it purified. Prana is also not eternal, it's also coming from the Mahavishnu's inhale, exhale. It carries all the living being, including Brahma. Everything runs by the prana. Everybody's soul carries by the prana. Is the demarcation. Until pure bhakti manifests the body, this demarcation is there. So prana, the other air is different. There are total 10 airs and 5 airs are primary. But one air is not an air, like air, oxygen, air, not like that. It's so subtle, it carries the consciousness, unit of consciousness. And it's connected with Mukha Prana. Mukha Prana is the breath of the Mahavishnu. When he or she, the soul, is completely purified, then he can transcend the Mahakala Puram, the 8 layers of the Kavari. And actually, literally, it can pierce through. So the yogi, Ashtanga yogi purpose is to raise the consciousness. I mean to say that thinking, willing, feeling, this consciousness quality actually connect the prana, and it raises by the quality and observation from lower level to higher level, to goes all the way to the throat, to the palate, to the eyebrow right here, and then comes to the Brahmarandra. You can say cerebral outlet, you can say. So this is their main purpose. So their austerity is not actually austerity like so much outward of bodily. It is just a inner circulation of the air with the consciousness.
But in that process, they can attain those mystic cities, right? Those.
Yes, yes. See, okay, I'll say it in a few minutes. You're bringing another window. I didn't. Maybe I'll just end with this. That where this idea of Ashtanga Yoga started with, coming from the frustrated Jnani. See where the Jnani is coming from, frustrated Karmi. When the Karmi, they enjoy in heaven so much, it's such an intense happiness that they are born young, die young, there is no suffering, there's no old age, there's no raising kids or sending them to school or anything. They're born teenager and they start enjoying. The moment they're born, they get that hatuki. Anyway, there's a whole explanation given, how they feel like 10,000 elephant power, the man feels. There are the 3 types of ladies, the subterranean planet, they use that. There's so much enjoyment. The talks, it goes on. But nobody talks how they come out of there. It's scary. It's the most scary thing probably exists in this material world, I feel. That So I'll give you one little story that, you ever heard soulmate? Is some kind of vague terminology in America, also all over the world. When a lover find a beloved, a girl or a boy, so, oh, you are like my soulmate. They really feel like, oh, this is my real friend, but have nothing to do with really soul. Just they use the word soul. In heaven, they have this. But Krishna's such a way, the creation is such a way that in temporary feeling has to come at the end. So when they meet to such an attractive way that they cannot live without each other. There are thousands of young girls and boys. Nobody is old or young. I mean, child. Everybody is young, teenager. Not young. What do you say? Teenager. You can say teenager. Say 20s. So they are so handsome, beautiful girl, but still they also have come with the previous impression to meet one particular person fell in love so tightly. And the moment they get into their necklace that they are born with, start drying up. This parijat flower garland is their control their lifespan. And they are actually being shown, pulled by force through the exit door. You ever heard the global warming, global worm? Not warming, worm. There are many, like a pishachi, ghost, goblin. These are higher beings. They are not, they are actually more subtle than human body. So they live between heaven and earth. How they sustain? They sustain by the heavenly body. So they go to heaven? No. Through the exit door, every moment somebody is dropping out of heaven. Like every 9 seconds somebody says, I don't know, Google is right or not. 9 seconds somebody is taking birth, it says right now. Over there also, every few seconds somebody is kicked out. I say kicked out because it's the most enjoyable place with the sense enjoyment. And when they come out, they're so obsessed on that enjoyment with the other person that they forget their own self. At that time, those pishachi, bhuta, preta, I don't know what is translated in English, ghost, goblin, all kinds of names are there. They actually attack those bodies and they eat. But the soul is so obsessed that he doesn't even know that his body is being eaten. And when he's about to completely finish, eaten by those creatures, then he drops with the rain from the sky to the aqua or watery place, and he began his life journey. Now, if there is a little piety left, he may drop into Jambudip, not on this Bharatvarsha. Bharatvarsha is also under Jambudip, but other 8 deep beside Bharatvarsha. Bharatvarsha, not India, this planet is Bharatvarsha. So they enjoy still little more, but if they ran out completely, if they really like very resentful, they are frustrated, they don't want anymore, out of frustration, sometimes people give up their enjoyment. Out of anger, I don't want it anymore, like something like this. Not that they don't want it because somebody disturbed them. They become the jnani. So when they're born, then they take birth and always inquiring, I want to get out, I want to get out, I want to get out. So they are given facility to a Brahmanical family or intellectual family or educated family where they don't have to endeavor too much of karma life. They can go into study philosophy. And Jnana is born from there. But problem is, heart is not pure. So he progresses randomly. When he progresses, he comes to a point where oh wow, I can have access of the super soul. I can have access through this Vidya, 18 types of knowledge. And through those knowledge, 18 types, they can actually have access of the sense enjoyment. Do you know what happened? Without work, I can enjoy. They can literally create a girl enjoy her, and she dies. They don't have to maintain. They don't have to. The biggest thing complaint on the sense enjoyment is emotional support. They don't. They don't have to, because Gyani is like a robot. They are not robot, but they act like a robot.
But I thought they got frustrated with sense enjoyment.
Yes, but they did not purify it. Just because somebody is frustrated doesn't mean it is gone. It's just a back burner, they call in America. Means it's there, it's going to pop.
Yeah, but frustrated means, you know, they've just become disillusioned with that. So they're moving on now.
Yes, but you have to purify. Just because something is, you don't like it, means it's not gone. You have to consciously purify through bhakti or literally understand and throw it. But they don't. They go through this process of knowledge, jnani, aham brahmasmi, tattamasi, sarvam khalvidam brahma, prajnanam brahma. They have a whole process, 4 things they do. They have a 4 philosophy, 4 principle, like this. They practice this. And then they come to a point where they have a loophole. Oh, I could still enjoy without paying for it. Means I don't have to work for it. They become yogi. So Gyani turn into yogi to take advantage. But more or less, they are inner link. That's why both are not bhakta. Because impure heart.
That Gyani who find the loophole is pursuit of mystic cities, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you can enjoy something without paying for it, why you want to work hard to pay for it?
Yeah.
It's a good logic they use. So from Jnana, Yoga is born. And the ultimate goal of Yoga, we will read next Wednesday. The next verse. Thank you, Mother Gaurangi. You always have a wonderful question. Prahlad Ananda Prabhu, you want to contribute something?
I just want a small little answer. You said bhakti produces 4 results. You mentioned dainya as the first one, right?
Dainya Daya Manada Amanina Manadena.
Oh, okay. So those are the 4. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. Very well. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pancha Kalpatarvesya Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Patitanam Pavaneko Vaishnava Namo Namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanand.